Hey guys, last time I saw you we were working on making this little mini lesson using some old pieces of textbook paper and some recycled construction paper, and then we used a stencil to create our heart. And in making this collage we have been thinking about and studying Romar Bearden and talking a little bit about how he used collage to kind of reflect the environment around him when he was making art in New York in the 1960s. Now, what we're going to do today is a little bit different. We're going to keep using that idea of collage, but we're going to take an old piece of a map and we're going to take that picture that I ended up taking of you, and what you're going to do today is use your face, your picture, as the stencil. And we're going to take that stencil that we use from our picture, and that's going to go onto the map. We're going to draw around that, cut it out, and then we're going to use that as the beginning of our next project. So, the thing I need to do with this picture is draw around everything. And I know my picture came out kind of dark. Maybe it wasn't a good day to be wearing a black hoodie, but I'm going to trace around the outside of everything. And it's important to take my time and get the spaces by my nose and my lips and where my eyes and forehead meet, but also any hair I've got going on top of my head, my neck, and if I've got any clothes shown in my picture, I'm going to trace around that as well, and then I'm going to cut all that out. Got my picture cut out, and now I'm going to trace it onto my map. It's up to you if you want to trace it with the picture facing up, just like this, or if you wanted to flip it and use the back side and trace it so you're facing the other direction, you can do that as well. Alright, picture traced, stencil is on there with my black line, and now it's time to cut that out. Okay, I'm cut out, and now I'm going to need a little bit of glue, and I'm also going to need my white paper. Double check at this point to make sure your name is on the back of that white paper, and then you're going to use some glue, and you're going to glue your profile, which is what we call a face that's been photographed from the side. You're going to glue it onto the middle of your paper, and you're going to try your best to keep the bottom of your map tracing parallel with the bottom of your piece of paper. So these should both be facing the same direction, and they shouldn't look any different than a couple of railroad tracks, nice and parallel, and your head should be in the middle of your paper. Now we can use some of the old map that we still have left, and I'm also going to use some of my scrap paper and some of my old scrap textbook paper, and I'm going to create a border on this collage similar to the one that I did here, except this one's going to be a little bit more detailed. Once again, I'm going to use my scrap paper, and I'm just going to kind of figure out a rough border that I'm going to want to use as the very bottom piece, and I think looking at that would be a good width. Not so much for the side, obviously, because it wouldn't be long enough, but I think that would be a good piece to put on the top, and then I'll retrace that and use the same width on the bottom. Boom, that guy's cut off. So now I put it back down onto my scrap paper, and I'm going to retrace it, and then I'm going to cut it out, and that should give me two pieces, one for the top and one for the bottom. Okay, I got the top and bottom collaged on there. Now I need the side pieces. And if you look, my paper's just barely going to fit. And I think I'm going to use some clean stuff on the right side here. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make a rough line. That's just going to tell me I need to cut along both those black lines. And that should give me just enough paper to finish my border on the left and the right side. Alright, I've got my paper on the edges. Again, don't worry if it's hanging off the corners just yet. We can go back at the very end of the project and trim that off. Now I'm going to use the remainder of my map scraps, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did on my heart collage, but this time I'm just going to cut some thinner pieces. That's going to be my double border on the outside edges, and this is going to be the thinner piece that goes on top of all that orange paper. So I'm going to cut 4 of these strips, and then I'm going to glue them down around the outside edges. Alright, I've got the rest of my map edges around there. You don't always have to use the map side. If you happen to decide whatever's on the back of that map looks kind of cool to you, you can use that as well, just like I did with this bottom piece. But now would be a good time to take a little bit of a break and make sure on the back of my paper everything is trimmed off. And as I flip it over, I just realized I forgot to put my name on there. So if you're a kid who's trimming their backside like I am right now, now might be a good time to make sure you got your name on it. Also, Once you've got everything trimmed, also make a pit stop over to the trash can and throw some of your scraps away, and also throw your portrait picture away. We're done with this and we're done with our scraps for now. So what we're going to work on in our next step is just going to be taking this guy and putting it onto a background all by itself. Almost done. My last piece of the project is going to be to take this guy, glue it onto this heavier duty paper, which is called railroad board, and this is going to serve as kind of the background of our project. So I'm going to glue it, and I'm going to work real hard to make sure it goes right in the middle of that paper so it looks nice and neat and our craftsmanship is evident. If you need help with that, definitely raise your hand and let me help you. To make sure it sticks, probably don't need much more than maybe, I'm going to go with about 7 dots of glue, and I'm going to come straight down onto that railroad board with my project, and I'm going to press it down so it sticks just like that. Now, don't write your name on the front of this thing. Flip it over, write your name on the back. Once you got your name on the back side of this as well, this whole thing now is ready to be put in the drying rack. Your scissors and glue bottles get closed. These things both get put away. If you have any markers, any extra paper at your table, please take care of those as well.